Jasperse, state representative, and I represent Northwest Forsyth County and part of Cherokee and then Pickens. And I'm glad to take a few minutes to talk to you about what we've been doing at the state capitol. And, Flo asked me to do this for the Forsyth County Family Alliance, and I'll try to make it family ideas and what we're doing here. She talked about what we had done with families, and I think the number one thing for me is girls' sports. I dropped a bill probably 4 years ago, maybe 5, about girls' sports and protecting our girls from boys, men participating in women's sports. And it's serious, it's not good, and we have passed 2 bills to do that. It'll come down to the end, the sine die, to see which one is successful. But I don't really care which one it is because both of them do the same thing. They stop boys from participating in girls' sports, and that's the bottom line, and I'm proud of that. We've done a lot this year for families in Georgia on tax relief, and I'm so excited. You're going to get a tax rebate again this year. We're again dropping the state income tax. That's been a goal for the last 5 years to really work on it. As state revenues increase, taking that level down a little bit every year. I think it's very wise. We talk about families in Georgia. One thing I think is very important that we worked on is reading, and making sure that Georgians, all these kids, K through 3 or 4, learn how to read. Forsyth County has a great school system that we've invested well. The results are phenomenal, but there's a lot of different kind of schools across the state. And so we've worked very hard to make sure that the reading programs across the state are effective. Not something that somebody came up with and has pushed in years gone by, but these reading programs are effective and we funded them. And so it's not a downward mandate. We've worked really hard on it. And the last is school safety. We've all worked very hard the last 3 or really 5 or 6 years on school safety with significant funding every year, kind of moving along, laws to kind of tighten it up, making sure all schools are doing the similar thing. And this year we've got another big school safety bill that's coming through. A little bit controversial, some of it, parts of it, but the main part is keeping our schools safe for kids, especially when they're moving from school to school. And you'll hear more about that, I'm sure, as news goes. And I'll be glad to come back on and talk about that. We talked about maintenance of roads. I'm the transportation chairman on the House side, and so one thing we've done is put a lot of money in the last 2 years really into road maintenance, where the counties and cities can get state dollars to pave roads, but also making sure that we're using our state dollars to pave roads. So we've doubled those 2 amounts of money. But also we funded big time freight and logistics funding. And what that did, it may not be affecting us building roads in our area, but what it does is it keeps us from using the state dollars that are building roads in our area from building roads in other areas. So that's complex. You want to call me about it, talk to me about it, you're welcome. I'm pretty easy to get a hold of. And also the 400 project that's all so important to all of us, how that's being done, how it's implemented, where the dollars are going to go, the improvements are going to be made, and how they're going to make movement back and forth all across this region a little bit easier up and down the 400 corridor. We've all worked hard on that. We talked about, she asked me about vocational training, and we've had this great program, y'all, that is in our schools in Forsyth County and a number across the state that partners with the contractors, somebody like Vertical Earth, who's a partner, C.W. Matthews, others have put their money in a program along with state dollars and local dollars to train people how to use heavy equipment. And it is a phenomenally popular program for our young men and women who don't want to be certain things, but they want to be outside, they want to work in the trade. Boy, it's great. They love it. They get to take classes on how to do this and learn safety. They learn to get out in the environment and run real equipment. And they have a big contest in Vienna at the end of the year. So I think it's a Vidalia, excuse me. So it's a great thing. But that's about 5 minutes for me. I hope you take time to contact me, rickjaspers.org. It's got how to contact Rick. And I'm sitting in the rotunda because, the hardest thing here this time of year is finding a quiet place. And this ended up being pretty quiet. Thank you very much.